Hi Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is going to be your general reading for March 2023. Because it is a general reading, I suggest that you check back to your Moon and Rising sign videos. In order to gain any information on your own personal situation requires a personal reading. I always forget to do that before I start. So you can go to the About box section of my channel. There I have listed my reading packages, which is the number of minutes, the number of questions in that time frame, and the price. Also, you need to be aware that I respond promptly to people who want to book readings from me. And so please check your spam folders because that is typically where my emails will go first, particularly if you don't have me in your contacts. So I suggest if you email me, add my email address to your contacts. That way, when I respond back to you, you'll get my message back, okay? And you can email me at this address. Hold on. I don't know why it's way down there. Hidden Lotus. I can't spell. Hidden Lotus Tarot at gmail.com. Okay? And typically my turnaround time is between 48 to 72 hours. And simply what you do is you email me at that address. Say, hey, Tara, I want a 45-minute or a 60-minute reading or a 30-minute reading, and I'll respond back to you. I don't make people wait for their readings, and I don't make you wait, a week to hear back from me. So that's that. Today is February 17th. I can't believe that this month is almost over in just a few more days. I can't do the math, so I think it's 9 days, less than a week almost. So, we're moving into March, spring equinox, and the time goes back, daylight savings time, and yay, I'm looking forward to it. So I have with me today the Radiant White deck. I have with me the Levita Sibila, and we're going to be wrapping the reading up with a Golden Nostradamus. Hold on one second here. Throw my pin out of the way. The Golden Nostradamus Oracle cards, okay? I have already done some meditation and shuffling on your sign and glyph, and I had a card that come out. So let me turn the camera around. I'll show you the card, and then we will continue with the spread, all right? Okay, here we go. I am looking forward to longer daylight hours and warmer temperatures. I've got a bunch of woodworking plans that I've gotten together, and I'm going to be putting up some bookshelves and stuff in my office finally, so I can get my office straight. Let's see here. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of blurry. So let me see if I can bring the focus in, because the card that came out for you, oh yeah, you can see that, is the Four of Wands. So we've done the rest of the shuffling, and let's see if I can. We're going to cut the cards. Next card. Oh, wow. The Devil, which is not a bad thing, okay? So we'll see how that all plays out. And if I'm not mistaken, there's some additional information with this card next to this one. Oh, wow. The Ten of Swords. The Eight of Pentacles. The Judgment. Wow. The Seven of Pentacles. It would appear that there's something you've been working on. You've been trying very hard. You've been committed to it, but it's just too much. It's become too much for you. Last row. The Eight of Swords. Now I have two eights. Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Swords. Oh, three eights. The Eight of Wands. Some news or message coming in. Most definitely. And the last card down, well, there it is. The Page of Cups. What is the energy over the entire reading? Well, now, it is the Seven of Swords. That's quite the interesting card. For those of you who are new to my channel and my style of reading, I don't read cards, I read energies. For those of you who've been around and have stuck with me since 2015, thank you. Just looking at what I have here. Okay, so new to my channel, what you need to know is these are the major arcana. The rest of these cards are known as the pip cards. They're either numbered or they represent people. They're pages, knights, kings, and queens. So from aces up to the king are known as pip cards. Okay. One major arcana card holds more sway than all of these cards put together because the major arcana cards are your spiritual lessons, whereas the pip cards are on an everyday third dimensional mundane level. Okay. Now, I have a wand. I'm sorry, 2 wands, 2 swords, 2 pentacles, 2 major arcana, and a court card. So there is this implied idea of 2. So this could be a couple, all right? Definitely some type of relationship, okay? Be it familial, friendship, business, romantic, all right? And it is always important when I have repeater numbers. So here I have 3 8s. But what we're going to do is we're going to start in the center of the reading, and we start with the card of Judgment. Judgment is a spiritual lesson. It is a lesson about, first of all, using your own judgment and discernment. Okay? It can say to you that that quote unquote help is going to be on the way. That flag there reminds me of the international symbol of the hospital. We have the angel blowing the horn. So there's some kind of announcement here. But it's also the idea of being called to a new life. Okay? In other words, something is about to change in your life, or something needs to change in your life. Okay? That's going to put you on, quote unquote, a new path, or the next card after this, number 21, which would be the World card, which says you are at the end of the cycle. Now, when I said to you, I've got this strange idea of 2. I've got the 2 pentacles, the 2 wands, the 2 swords, the 2 major arcana. The Judgment card is the number 20. And broken down in numerology, 2 plus 0 equals 2. So there's our 2. Okay? Sometimes the Judgment card can be this idea of a legal case or situation, particularly here with these 3 cards. But, you know, that's not always the case. And I'm reading for so many of you, there are many different interpretations that can be brought to bear. So the whole idea of judgment being the concept of knowing that you can use your own judgment and discernment. You have a brain, you have the experience, you have skills, you have knowledge, you have wisdom, okay? Then you are able to make your own decisions for yourself, but you must use your judgment. Now, starting at the top row, we're reading past, present, future, interplay of the cards. The 4 of Wands talks about, in the tarot, 4s are about stable foundations, okay? Everything seems to be okay. It's not great, it's not bad, it's just okay. But the 4 of Wands is an indication of having something to celebrate. And this could be anything. The purchase of a new home, or getting a new townhouse or piece of property or a car. Maybe you've been working on post-secondary education. You've gotten your master's, or you're working on your PhD. So it could be anything that has to do with the fact that you can get together with people and celebrate. Now, in terms of a romantic situation, this card can sometimes be an indication. It's what I call the shacking up card. It's not the marriage card, it's the shacking up card. So this is 2 people who've come together. You see them there welcoming you in. So it has this connotation of the idea of a relationship that will turn into a long-term and or deeper commitment, okay? And I see here in the past row that this is something that you've been working on. So even if it's not a romantic relationship, it's the idea that maybe you've been trying to buy a home and you've been working and working. This guy's literally making money. That's what he's doing. He's literally making money. But this is also the card of the apprentice, okay, or the intern. In that sense, it's like maybe you're working and working, but you're not really getting paid the money that's owed to you just yet. But it also is the idea of repetition, of doing something over and over and over again until you can perfect it and get it right. Eights are karmic numbers. They usually come in to tell you that they're numbers of money, but they usually come in to tell you that things are about to move. But someone feels as though they are in a situation that they don't feel comfortable with. Okay? This is the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords says that, first of all, nobody controls your thoughts but you. Swords represent thoughts, belief, perceptions, ideas, and communication. So this is the windmills of our mind. You know, did somebody trick us into this situation, or did I kind of go into it willingly? It's one of the hoodwinked cards. And the hoodwinked cards, there are only two. There's this one and the Two of Swords, the cards with the blindfolds on them. So the card says, even though you may not be able to physically move, your mind is free of restrictions. And so you should start thinking about how you're going to do once you are able to move freely. Okay? But the card also is an indication that whatever situation you find yourself in, like this, it's one of your own creation or choosing. All right? Now, the Devil card has come out. And I said to you, it's not always a bad card, but I'm looking at these three things here. So the Devil represents power and control issues. Who has it and how are they using it? So the Devil can be about obsession. It can be about possession. And I don't mean like spiritual possession. I mean the idea of owning something or having something or holding something. Okay. It can be about someone trying to maintain power and control over you or a certain situation. It could be you trying to maintain power and control of a person and or a situation, but towards negative ends. Now, the Devil represents Capricorn and the sign of Capricorn, the 10th house, and also it is ruled by the planet Saturn, and Saturn is the taskmaster. What does Saturn do? He makes things quite difficult for you, and he comes in to probe the weaknesses in your plans, to show you where you're going to have to build it a little bit stronger. But it also represents fear. Saturn does. So this card could be about fear. At its essence or core essence, the Devil asks you, what do you chain yourself to? So this could be addictions. It could be shopping. It could be sex. But he also rules the third dimension. And the third dimension is about food, drink, sex, clothes, gambling, having a good time, right? And having to roll our sleeves up and do the hard work so we can have all those things. It takes money to buy a house. It takes money to travel. It takes money to have nice clothes, right? So this is what the Devil represents. But this card too has somewhat of a similar energy in that your mind is free even though you can't move. This card says you're never chained or bound in such a way that you can never be free. So the question becomes, what do you commit yourself to? Okay, that's it. Whatever this thing is, it has turned into, let's say, the camel that broke the straw's back, so to speak, the 10 of Swords. It is a changing energy. All 10s represent changes. So this is the card of being at your wit's end. You're at the end of your rope. The card can sometimes have betrayal, as does this one, attached to it. So this could be an ambush situation. Out of the blue, something happened. You feel as though somebody stabbed you in the back. Maybe somebody did stab you in the back. I've seen the card show up when you're so worried mentally about something, you're at the end of your rope, that it causes you physical issues, back pain, hip pain, neck pain. But it also is known as the card that is the darkest before the dawn. It can be an indication sometimes of travel over water, by water, around water, near water, some kind of long journey that may be coming up. But it says that the crisis point has been reached and that soon the situation is going to change. And we see that here. There's also this, for me, suddenly it looks as though from these two cards here, the card says if you want to get out of this situation, you're going to have to work on it. Okay? Whatever it is that you think you've been doing, maybe you've been focused in the wrong direction. And oddly enough, we go from the 8 to the 7. That's one pentacle. Okay, like the ace. And this card, remember when I was saying to you that it says that you feel like you're working and working and working, but you're not getting any just rewards or the correct payment? So this card requires patience. And to me, because there is one pentacle between this one and this one, it says, I think you're going to have to give up something. And then and only then can you tend the bush with the 6 pentacles on it. Okay? But you're going to have to wait. Wait because you don't see, I don't know, an opportune moment. You don't see an opening. Maybe you haven't formulated the correct idea or plan or thought yet. This card can be about worry and fear and insecurity, but also the inability to think clearly. But suddenly, we have the 8 of Wands. And again, there's this, see, look, there's a house there. There's a house here, way in the back there. And we see it there. We also see this idea of a town here, okay? So I get the idea that for some of you, this is literally about changing locations, relocation, whether this be a living situation or a work situation. I don't know why my camera keeps going dark. Hold on. My screen. It's fully plugged in. There we go. So the 8 of Wands is connected to travel, all right? Typically by air, in connection with business or work. But at the same time, this card is known as the arrows of love, okay? So this could be some kind of, maybe you meet somebody on a plane, on a trip, or you meet someone in passing. It also indicates that there could be news and messages coming in. This is typically within an 8-day frame. And the wands, by the way, represent passion, focus, and desire, determination. What does it take for you to get up every day and do whatever it is you do? But because we don't know where the arrows are coming from or where they're aimed at, it's kind of like a quick energy. So typically the advice with this card is something is definitely about to change. It will be quick movement of some kind, whether this is literal movement or metaphorical movement. And the energy is going to be so swift that all you're going to be able to do is to hang on, okay? And then finally, it ends in some kind of, here's the message, right here. There's your news coming in. But the thing about this news, this message, is that it simply has an emotional quotient to it. I don't know if my thing's failing, okay? It's not a message necessarily of love, but it's a message that comes, I think, out of the blue, a surprise, and there's going to be something emotional attached to it. That's what the cup with the fish means. But over the entire reading, we have the 7 of Swords. Now, this card traditionally is looked at as a card of treachery, of theft, of lies, of deceit, betrayal, swindles, and cons. That all holds true as well. But the card also can say that you are disorganized and that you can't get your thoughts straight. And that if any plans or things or projects have failed, it's because you're rushing around and you haven't really thought things out. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is someone having tricked you, because sometimes a card can say, it says that sometimes we accept behavior from people or we behave in a certain way, hoping that the ends will justify the means. Okay? And that, you know, if something has failed, you can't look to anybody else but yourself for the cause or the reasons of the failure. And it is a 7, along with this 7. 7s always represent the idea of a moment of questioning yourself. Oh my God, why is my my computer keep doing that? Okay. It is a question. It is about questioning yourself. It is a moment of doubt. Should I or shouldn't I? Will I or won't I? Let me check my display. It just keeps, and I don't know if it's my thing or what it is. 1 second here. My display. Oh, it doesn't say. Automatically adjust brightness. Let's see, advanced. Slightly dim. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. But anyway, we're going to take a look at, I can't look at this card, right? Because traditionally it represents a person. Even though that's not how they ever turn out for me. Pages and Knights always bring news. So what does that leave me? It leaves me these cards here as they relate to these two cards. And so remember I told you that I think there's some kind of additional information between these two. So let's see. I'm going to grab my book here. We're looking at the Four of Wands. Nothing about the Four of Wands. So I don't know why that came up. So there's something else here, and I have to look at it with the Sibilas because this leaped out at me, these two. So let's go to the Ten of Swords to see if there's any indication of the Ten of Swords with any of these cards. Nothing about the Ten of Swords. Eight of Pentacles. How many swords cards? Two swords. Okay, nothing about the Eight of Pentacles. Now we go to the Seven. Nothing about the Seven of Pentacles. Eight of Swords. Nothing about the Eight of Swords. And finally, the Eight of Wands. Now, I told you that they're with the devil. The Eight of Wands with the devil is telling you to ignore all temptations and remain focused on your goal, regardless of any outside manipulations, which I think that could be a part of it, and or influences. Ignore all else and forge ahead in your intended direction. There we see it. It tells of an acceleration of your affairs, bringing beneficial qualities and positive changes into your life. Well, there it is. So remember when I said, this tells me you're going to have to give up something. And I don't know what that something is. Because whatever this thing is, you've been working on it, and it's really not turning out to your advantage. It doesn't look that way to me. Okay? Now, I told you there was a meaning of 3/8. 3/8 typically tell of anxiety, hassles, obstacles, and delays. That's also the meaning of some of the meaning of this card. It talks about postponements, delays, disappointments, perhaps arguments. Hold on. Tension, arguments, disagreements, and misunderstandings within a current situation. It is warning you to be upfront in all of your dealings, otherwise you will be caught out, and this will have detrimental effects. It suggests that your plans are not working out, so look for an alternative. However, if your plans do not work out, you should not look to place blame on others, power and control issues, but rather look to yourself for the reasons of failure. It may also indicate that the most likely cause of failure is hasty actions and a lack of focus and concentration, which is what I said here. Okay? That's that. The other meaning of 3/8, if this is a romantic situation, now this says you and your beloved are going on a trip. I don't know. Maybe you are. That remains to be seen. We are talking about travel here. So what I'm going to do is I want to first look at this 10 of Swords here. Okay? Because it's just such a heavy card, and these two, the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Swords, are very difficult mental energies to come out of. All right? I think that there's something you have to do. If this is not a romantic situation, there's something you're going to have to give up to get out of this situation. If this is a romantic situation, then I would say you're going to have to wait it out to see how it turns out. We're going to look at that 7 as well to see if there's some treachery here. First card out, the Mercante. So he's the businessman. He has earned his business. He's shrewd. He can be a difficult character to deal with. The Lamante, male. Now, I don't know if this is saying that the guy or the person you're in love with is a business person or owns their own business, a business owner. But also the Lamante, because this is the lover, but the Lamante In this instance is an intensifier. And what it's saying is that there are a lot of emotions. This idea of having to wait. As you can see, he's there with his little guitar, but there's nobody at the door. There's nobody at the window. He's strumming his little music. So he's waiting. So there is the idea of waiting. And there's a lot of emotion behind it. And the Pensiero, the card of contemplation. So I don't know if this is you or if it's somebody that you were dealing with, whether this is heterosexual or same-sex relationship. This whole idea of whatever's happening with this particular person has reached a crisis point, okay? But it will be changing. Now, what we want to look at, I want to look at this 8 of Swords, and then we're going to look at the 7 of Swords, okay? Actually, we're going to skip over this 8. We're going to do the 7 to see what the 7 has to say. The casa, the house. Sometimes it can be looked at as a more of an institutionalized building, so it could be a bank. The precious presence, possessions, riches, inheritances, property, but also sometimes good advice. And the viaggio, a trip. But as you can see, someone is returning from a trip. I don't know if this is what they're coming back for or to. Okay. But whatever he's focused on, okay, and we see that there's a trip here. But it doesn't tell me what the 7 is trying to say. So sometimes the 7 can be, and I can give you the 2 7s just to throw it out. I don't usually do that because those 7s are not in the reading. It talks about self-confidence issues affecting a relationship, but it could also be 1 second here. 2 7s can warn of false friends. The timing of the 7 of Swords is 7th of February to 20th of February. So remember when I said at least within an 8-day time frame? So we're looking at perhaps near the end of the month. Okay. Trying to see. Is there any other information here? Yeah, warning of false friends. So, you know, I don't know what this is about. And I can't say necessarily that this 7 of Swords is about treachery and deception. It very well could be. I do know he's sort of like the page or the Knight of Cups. So again, this card doesn't promise love and fidelity. There's no guarantee on it. It's simply an opportunity. And the fact that these two are facing each other, as I say, it's not two different people. This is the idea of having to wait. There's some real emotional something going on here. We're thinking someone is contemplating and thinking about what it is that has brought them to their wits' end. And sometimes this person, this Mercante, in his negative, can be a real bastard to deal with. And can be tricky, will have you sign clauses that you can't get out of, can be a really nasty character to deal with. So, I'm going to leave it at that. I want you to focus on a question for the Golden Nostradamus. Oh, there's a card. Well, interestingly, number 23, it is the sun. Okay, and what do we know about the sun just in general? Is that the sun illuminates things for us. We can see a whole lot better by the light of the sun than we can the light of the full moon. So, the card advises, the wise earn their just rewards. The fool wants more than he can afford. Success will shine down upon you. You will be given some power and kissed by good fortune. but only as a consequence of your own integrity, honesty, and commitment. Well, that kind of solidifies this card and these 3 cards. Okay? So, that is what I have for you, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising for March 2023. Again, as I say, if you're interested in booking a reading, go to the About Box section, pick your package, and then email me. Until next time, be safe. Bye.